I'm flying into Toronto, and I'm looking out the plane window, and I'm saying, is that a hoop on the driveway?
It was a cultural moment. People wanted to be a part of that.
Kids look up to people that come before them. Our top kids, all of which started as Vince Carter fans, are playing in the NBA now.
That was the thing with Vince. Not only did he dunk, but he gave you the face after, you know? He gave you the hand gestures, and he just gave you confidence, attitude.
You know, you can play in New York, you can play in all these places. You don't have an entire country backing you up. And I think Vince was the prelim to all that.
He made it okay to be proud to be from Toronto.
I was running through the six with my walls.
This is the moment you've been waiting for. It's certainly the moment we all have been waiting for too. The official naming of your team, one that is ready to join the animal kingdom of teams in the NBA. And here it is, the newest, freshest, and hungriest look in the NBA. Ladies and gentlemen, the Raptors are born.
First, let me say that the NBA, in its first season, had a franchise in Canada. The first game that was played was the Toronto Huskies against the New York Knicks. So there was some connection with Canadian basketball from day one of the NBA.
We sort of fall into the stereotype of Canada. A lot of A's, a lot of snow, a lot of hockey. Not too many parents put their kids in basketball at a young age here at that time. Hockey was the dominant sport. We just didn't have any of that basketball culture and everything that comes with it.
You know, I think at first it was a little bit of a novelty for the American guys. They're like, man, we're going to Canada. This is crazy. And I think they didn't really know what to expect. Many of them hadn't been or weren't that familiar with the landscape.
No one knew what a raptor was before Jurassic Park. Everyone saw it, everyone flipped out. The dinosaurs looked 100% real. The Raptors were the #1 bad guys in the movie. And we go and name ourselves after a movie. I still think it's whack.
And where we actually expanded to Vancouver and to Toronto, the parents are going to be fans of hockey, but over time, the kids who will grow into the next generation of parents are going to be basketball fans.
We started off playing in Skydome. This big cavernous, it's 30 stories high. It's 6 acres big. The sound is horrible. We had temporary sidelines. There was all kinds of things, and we're not winning.
None of them wanted to be here. They were playing in the NBA, but they weren't in an NBA city. This was not an NBA city yet.
You got people that know the game, then you got this whole group of people that have no clue. People are waving these air things that make the noise and all that. You know, when our guys are shooting a free throw, no. It's when they shoot a free throw.
At the time, our jerseys were corny too, because we had the big ass dinosaur, and they'd kill us when I would go to New York, LA, anywhere where they love sports. They'd be like, yo, so what up with that Barney ass team that you got? I didn't think many people thought that it would last.
Jordan defends. Oliver Miller with time winding down. He goes for three. Okay, off the backboard, the right guy got the ball.
I remember kind of walking around outside Skydome then, talking to scalpers, and just how you could have burned those tickets. There was no interest whatsoever.
In this situation right here, LeBron got the defender in the air, so there's a driving lane, right? You need that player. There's a driving lane for you. I would want him to drive that ball because the only person in between him and the basket is Al Horford. And that if Al Horford commits, that's a lob to Tristan Thompson.
I had no clue where the hell Toronto was. When I was extremely cold, I didn't know anything about the weather until I got up there. 18-year-old kid in this foreign country, legal age is 19. What am I gonna do? What an experience for an 18-year-old, coming out of high school, making millions of dollars, living by himself. Basketball was probably the second thing on my mind.
McGrady obviously was a reach, you know, in '97. Like, there hadn't been too many high school guys. He came into the league and he just wasn't very good yet.
Now that I look back on it, you know, I really didn't have, at that time, any teammates, you know, my rookie season to hang out with because everybody else was older than I was.
When Tracy became a Raptor, we didn't know we were cousins. Over the summer, they have open gym. Vince is there that summer. Tracy is this young phenom, he's there, and so they're getting ready to go, and Tracy said, well, I won't be here next weekend because I gotta go to my family reunion. Tracy mentioned somebody's name. I think it was his grandmother, if I remember correctly, Roberta. And I remember my mother talking about Roberta at the family reunion. We're cousins.
I couldn't believe it because when I was a junior in high school, and I used to play before him, you know, he was Mr. Florida at this time. Like, he was the best thing in Florida. The things that I used to see this kid do in high school was, you know, I'd never seen this in my life.
We have a terrific crowd on hand here at the Mark Twain Center on the campus of the University of Missouri St. Louis, and all are eagerly awaiting the top high school basketball players in the country as Coca-Cola presents the McDonald's All-American High School Slam Jam. This is the pre-slam dunk favorite, Vince Carter, 6'6", 195 pounds. He has been called Jordan-esque.
Dan, this is the guy that even the players that play with him, they love to see this guy dunk. Let's watch.
Oh! Oh! Holy cats! Following the final dunk!
As a high school athlete, you always dream of putting that hat on and shaking David Stern's hand, and you never know. And I was just one of those guys like that. I mean, I knew I could play the game, but you never know if you're good enough to make the NBA.
Puma as a brand was struggling in the early 90s, and to jumpstart the brand again, we thought getting back into basketball was critical. I was watching every bit of college basketball I could get my hands on, and we earmarked Vince Carter as the guy. We thought he was the guy to help us reinvent basketball.
Everyone works out before the draft with each team, does an interview, all those kinds of things. Vince kind of came in sort of as an unknown, and he came in and was so amazing. Like, it was the best workout I've ever seen in terms of his athleticism.
You could tell this was a guy that they wanted to get. This was a team badly in need of that kind of player, a player who would bring you out of your seats.
For the second time in 4 years, the NBA draft has taken us north of the border. Tonight it's Vancouver, British Columbia, and the home of the Grizzlies, General Motors Place.
Our fear, because we were following the draft order, please don't get drafted by Toronto. Please don't get drafted by Toronto. We don't need energy in Canada right now. We need energy in the United States. Please don't get drafted by Toronto.
With the fourth pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select Antoine Jameson from the University of North Carolina.
The Jameson family was sitting right next to our table, and I'll never forget the look on Mr. Jameson's face. He turns around and he looks at me in my face, and I did like this. I didn't know what was going on.
With the fifth pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Vince Carter from the University of North Carolina.
I remember walking up there the steps, and it's like, okay, first and foremost, don't fall up the steps. That's the first thing. And we take the picture, and all it says is, wait 1 second. There's a trade about to happen. And I'm like, dang, somebody's getting traded already. Antoine was standing right there. So I was like, yeah, what's up? I was like, man, I finally got drafted, whatever. And he was saying something to me, but it was just like so much going on at the same time, so I didn't quite catch what he was saying. And I guess he was telling me we're about to get traded.
I'd like to announce a trade. Toronto has traded the rights to Antoine Jameson to Golden State for the rights to Vince Carter plus cash consideration.
There was a rumor out there that Golden State really wanted Antoine Jameson, and they were afraid we were going to draft Antoine Jameson and then trade him to Milwaukee. They wanted to protect themselves to stop that from happening, so they asked us to draft Antoine Jameson first and then trade them for Vince.
Thank you very much. We're here with the newest member of the Toronto Raptors, Vince Carter, drafted number 5 overall. Vince, tell me how excited you are about playing in Toronto.
I'm excited. I had a great workout out there and got an opportunity just to see the city, and I also have a cousin out there playing, so it makes it an experience of a lifetime, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I think we got lucky that Vince wasn't against coming to Canada. I was a young coach. I had all this stuff in my head about what I would do if I ever got a team or players that I played with the Lakers. And all of a sudden, I got at least 2 of them in Vince and Tracy. They knew that they could count on each other, and that became really important.
This was a turn in my career and my attitude towards the game. We hung out every day. He lived in the same building. It was just a bond that, we formed at that time because we missed so many years of being around each other.
First day of practice, I called a team meeting before we even got on the court and did anything. I knew my skill level. I knew what I got to do. I knew I played with Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing. I made them better. They didn't make me better, so I knew I could make Vince and Tracy better.
Charles Oakley, I think day 2, put his arm around me and said, hey, I'm going to help you make it in this league and be a star in this league. And, of course, you don't tell Charles Oakley no, first of all. You're just like, all right, cool.
Part of what was powerful about Vince Carter, he kind of came out of nowhere. And, all of a sudden he shows up and he's way better than anyone thought he was going to be. And he was better in a way that was electrifying.
You start to see this explosive guy. He emerges onto the scene and starts performing magic. There's always a saying, like, girls have to want to be with you, guys have to want to be you, So it's like, Vince just had that. He just had that about him.
John Saunders and I were doing the Raptor games. On a nightly basis, we just look at each other and go, no. No. Come on, seriously? That's what this guy brought to the table.
Vince, he's a very artsy person, and his artistry was his moves and dunking.
Newman drives.
It was almost like ballet in the air.
Ahead of the pack, showtime!
We're on the road, and I'm putting my game notes together, and I've got Sports Center on. All of a sudden, I'm hearing my voice over a Vince Carter dunk.
Are you kidding me? Air Canada, sorry!
That was an exciting time, sport, da-na-na. Everybody was looking for those moments, trying to check Sports Center to see what kind of dunk probably that you've never seen before.
He had the most exciting dunks that we've seen in a long time. In fact, we named his first shoe based on an announcer when he went in for a dunk, and he called it the Vinsanity. That's Vinsanity. Just to prove, number 15, Vince Carter, this was Vince's shoe. The first Vinsanity shoe was the top selling shoe Puma ever had.
If I was fortunate enough to make it in the NBA, I said I want to be in a dunk contest because I watched it, I studied it, I recorded all of the dunk contests, and I would just look at it and just try to figure out the whys of each dunk. Why is this guy doing this? What is he trying to accomplish? What is he looking to show the judges, fans, so on and so forth? That's how I looked at it. That's where I was. When fans were like, ooh, and I was like, ooh, that was nice, but why did he do it?
I didn't want to do it because I knew, this is my teammate. Like, I see him every day and what he's capable of. Why I want to enter the dunk contest, I know this dude is going to win it.
He would say it was a bad idea. He's like, let's just back out. He's like, I'm backing out. I wouldn't let him back out because I knew he had something to show the fans, and we talked about this. Let's give them what they wanted.
We were going back and forth. I think it was one day, was in his apartment playing video games, and he just kept bothering me the whole freaking day. This went on for quite some time. And You know, I just went ahead and agreed to do it.
It was raining torrentially, like for the entire weekend. And it was in Oakland, but everybody was staying in San Francisco. So you basically spent the day going back and forth across the Bay Bridge.
Our car that we were supposed to have, missing. Nowhere to be found to take us over to the arena. So we're walking up and down the street, whatever, trying to find our driver. Cannot find this guy. So we ended up getting a sedan. 4 of us, Tracy and I, and then 2 guys who were probably 275 minimum. And we're trying to squeeze in this thing, going over the bridge to get over to the arena. I'm over here, I'm panicking, freaking out. And T-Mac really didn't want to do the dunk contest anyway, so this is like played in his hand, like, yep, see, might as well just don't do it. I was like, no, we're doing this. I fulfilled the goal of being drafted, playing in the NBA, fulfilling that dream. This was part 2 of that ultimate goal and dream, as being in a dunk contest. As more people will file in and you can just feel the buzz, my adrenaline and excitement just began to grow, and I was just out of control. Throughout the layup line, I was just trying things, and I got caught up in the moment where some of the dunks that I was doing or going to do, I was kind of doing them in there. So I was like, it's not worth it now. Scrap it. We'll just figure it out from there. And the rest is history.
This crowd wants to see Vince Carter, who had told Kenny Smith that he has 4 dunks that no one has ever seen.
Hey, there's guys moving back on the sideline, NBA players, when he's coming. I don't understand this. This guy is making everybody move back, and he's going to take off on the free throw line at the beginning now. I'll just lose it right here. I'll lose it right now, Danny.
All right, here is Vince Carter with his first stop.
Let's go home. Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home. Let's go home. Let's go home.
This building just exploded.
Hey, that is a reverse 360 going against the grain. That is unbelievable.
All right, and here is the second dunk of the night for Vince Carter. And Vince adding to the repertoire.
They're in awe of what they're seeing. That is unbelievable.
Keep in mind, Vince Carter also has a few stitches in that left hand when he incurred an injury dealing with weights in the weight room. So he's stitched up in the left hand doing all this.
Oh, it's over. It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
The judges are coming over the table to congratulate Vince Carter. This is unheard of.
Oh, my goodness gracious. It is over. Did I call it, Danny, or what?
Hey, Tracy McGrady, he doesn't even know what to do. He's walking away. He plays with this guy every day, and he's in awe.
All right, Vince Carter with his first on the final round.
Ladies, wait, time out. Can I take a time out?
Wait a moment, Dad. You never seen that?
I've never seen that before.
That was one of the perfect dunk contest performances. I think that just put him to a whole other level.
Everyone was just pounding on their chest, like, yeah, that's us, that's us. And it didn't matter, like, at that moment, everybody was just a childlike fan, Shaq, KG, all these guys, they were just with big video cameras out, like just fans, of our guy.
Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, Dr. J, Vince Carter, and yourself. Now, that is a powerhouse. You guys had all won dunk contests in the past, so I'm curious, in the prime of all those players' careers, who wins a dunk contest?
Vince.
What?
Yeah, I would say Vince.
I got
it. Yeah,
I had him
Vince is Vince. No, Vince is a special dunker, man.
Did you see what he can do?
He's a special dunker. I mean, he's a special dunker. And I think MJ, did some stuff that was revolutionary for his time, as did Dr. J. And, you know, the way Vince dunks the ball, you know, the way that he's dunked the ball when he was in a dunk contest was unbelievable.
When he got back to Toronto, it was like a coming out party, right? Like there were, you know, everyone became a Raptors fan like overnight.
It's a similar thing to hip hop, you know what I mean? Like kids wanted to be a part of hip hop, but it's dope when you can see somebody from your city that's actually in with all the people that you love. So imagine now you're seeing Vince and like people are just bowing down to Vince across the whole thing. That's when you're wearing your jersey and you're like, word, like Raptors, that's who we are.
Things started changing, and you see the vibe in the city and the energy starting to build up. Every channel, every billboard, every school or whatever, it was about the Raptors, but he was the lead singer, so he got to shine.
All these companies was coming in. I mean, Vince was wearing so many different pair of shoes. He was wearing N1s. He was wearing Nikes. Like, I was like, damn, brother, I mean, choose one.
Nike has added Toronto Raptors star Vince Carter to its elite roster of athletes. He unveiled the latest Nike Shox VC2 in Toronto today.
I want people to feel comfortable and to feel like it's theirs when they put it on. And I think they're going to get that when you put these shoes on.
I always had myself a pair of Nike Shox. I'd come back home and I'd wear them for like the rest of my season or whatever and pretend like I was dunking on people, but I really wasn't yet. But it made me feel cool, and I bought them because Vince wore them.
In the early 2000s, I was at Toronto's first sneaker summit. There were literally a handful of people down with sneakers. There were no lineups, like there was nothing. Jordans would literally sit on shelves, 50, 70% off, no problem. It wasn't until Vince that it really started.
There was only maybe 3 or 4 downtown nightclubs when we opened, and Vince loved it. We agreed on a deal, and Vince came in as my 50% partner. He would show up at staff meetings with a clipboard, you know, just to take notes and learn, you know, how it works.
It was one of the best decisions I ever made. It wasn't about money more so than opportunity. When these players are coming into town, we have some place for them to go. After a while, I started getting phone calls from players that I didn't really talk to, didn't have their number. Like, how did you get my number? Like, yo, is your club open tonight? We want to come hang out. It was just another way of letting players know what Toronto has to offer.
Whether you were at Vince's club or whether Vince was somewhere else or whether you were just out and Vince wasn't there, his presence was felt because the city was just on.
This is the first time that you're seeing these superstars party with everybody. At that time, the vibes that were in the city was out of control.
There's certain cities, London, Paris, Toronto, Vancouver, you know what I'm saying? Someone said, oh, you're going there, call my friend. And that friend shows people around. That's what they do. That's just part of their out in the scene, and then they show people the city. And Mona's that for Toronto.
I started at a time with no bottle service, no digital cameras, no social media, just like maybe one guy in the NBA who came to the party, brought his teammates, and the NBA is so small that, you know, one person tells another person, oh, well, if you go to Toronto, call Mona. A year later, bottle service just took over.
Obviously, Vince being American, you know, a big staple, in, you know, for the nightclubs in Vegas, Miami, New York is bottle service. He couldn't understand of like, we have 1,500 people in here and we're selling single drinks on the floor, but there's tables everywhere. I don't understand why we can't do what they do in the US and sell bottles to people. We met with our liquor license lawyer and we went through, you know, what can we do? How can we make this work? You know, and he said, well, no one's ever really challenged this. We were the first ones in Toronto that did it and opened the door for all the nightclubs now.
When you grow up in certain American cities and you're only surrounded by one type of culture or one type of person or one type of language, and you come to Toronto and we're such a multicultural, diverse city, you're gonna come here and think, oh my God, this is so exotic, or I've never seen anything like this.
Everybody, you know, is mingling with each other. There's no real segregation here as far as like, you know, cultures go. I mean, all my friends growing up were from all walks of life.
Up here was one of the first places where you could go, and it's like you would hear Jay-Z, but then you're gonna go down south and hear Trick Daddy, but then you're gonna go to the Caribbean and hear dance hall. There's all these different things that made our city so unique.
I was a proud Toronto dude. I would talk with Toronto slang. I would bring videos to Toronto or suggest coming to Toronto or talk about, you know what I'm saying? So within the music scene, people knew Toronto and at that time Little X they went together. So I joke with Drake, I'm John the Baptist to his Jesus. You know what I'm saying? I was prepping the industry for this Toronto thing.
It wasn't until like the early 2000s, like urban became like kind of like an industry term, and videos started to be shot here, movies were shot here, and then you had Vince.
My name is Vince.
My name is Vince.
My name is Vince Carter.
My name is Vince Carter.
The corporate dollars in Canada traditionally go to hockey. For Vince Carter to win over those corporate dollars and to do so well endorsing products in Canada, Vince was the one that was the pioneer that kind of started to break down barriers and started to say like, hey, this basketball thing's coming and it's for real.
With one of his signature slam dunks, Toronto Raptor Vince Carter inaugurated a new state-of-the-art basketball court in Etobicoke today. The city of Toronto and Toronto police were partners in the project.
I just hope it creates a lot of great basketball players. I mean, we're not here to really create NBA superstars or anything, but I think just instilling confidence in each and everybody here and giving them some place to play where they can stay out of trouble and don't think of crime first. They think of, hey, going out here and having a great pickup game night in and night out.
Steph and Seth came to every practice they could. Stephen was in 8th grade. Seth was 6. I remember pulling in the Air Canada Center, putting the car in park, and they'd be out and in the gym before I could get the keys out of the ignition. They knew that building better than anyone.
I remember just seeing Seth over there dribbling, trying to dribble the ball all the time, and Steph over there just dribbling the ball, waiting. And it was just like clockwork. That's what we did. After I got my workout in, we'd play one-on-one. I just remember, you ready? You ready? I was like, oh, almost done. Ready. I mean, he was just itching to play.
My sport kind of is basketball, and I wanted to practice some more on it and try to make it to the pros if I have a chance.
From Toronto, the Raptors hosting the Phoenix Suns. Air Canada has been cleared for takeoff.
You know, television networks, they don't get any credit for having great viewership up here in Canada. They really sort of more or less focus on US-based teams. Vince, when he was at the peak of his popularity, he overcame all that for us.
We didn't get noticed at all. And that was kind of the fight we were having with the NBA for so long. We're fighting with them like, put us on TV, give us an opportunity, let us be seen. You know, we're young and up and coming. Just give us a chance. This was the stage.
Here's Carter with a screen. Three-pointer on its way.
People in the States really didn't see us that much. I think for Vince's sake, I think it changed his whole career on that national stage and showing his incredible athleticism and his creativity. I think that really opened the door for the Raptors.
Christie is fouled. And that's it, game over. It was a superb performance, and the hero of the hour is with Ahmad.
I asked you before the game if you were nervous. Big national television debut. 51 points, I guess you weren't.
I was excited. It's a chance of a lifetime and an opportunity for the Raptors to put ourselves on the map and just become recognized in this league.
All of a sudden, people know where Toronto is. It's crazy. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about Vince. They're talking about the Raptors. They're talking about Toronto.
It was America looking. It was the world looking. That year, that was a huge year for Toronto and for Vince Carter and for the Raptors.